What's up, y'all? It's Cecil West, Beyond the Harmony, beyondtheharmony.com. Back again with the one and only.
Off we go into the wild blue Jonathan. Look beyond. Da, 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 da.
And the sixth dog. We know him as Beard Bone, but you may know him as.
I am Matthew Weaver.
And this is the question of the week. You know what it is. We throw out a question, you give us an answer. This week's question of the week is sponsored by the book Hell's Good Guy.
Hell's Good Guy is a scripted story charged with trauma, triumph, and duplicity. Situated in a high-tech temple, the recently deceased Alex is facing an afterlife trial to secure a place in heaven. Alex, the book's protagonist, has no memory of his death, and the fully informed gatekeeper is unable to share the information with him. Can Alex unlock the truth about his demise and make it to heaven?
The links to purchase the book online are in the description below, and you can find them all at linktr.ee/hellsgoodguy. This week's question, y'all, is very similar to the theme of the book Hell's Good Guy, and I gotta know if Eazy-E was judging the careers of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. In your opinions, would he be pleased or displeased with the way their careers have turned out?
Intriguing question. So many ways we could approach it.
I just want to, for me, and I don't know how you guys are going to view this, but I'm viewing this from a very heavenly, Eazy-E looking down type way at Bone.
Not as a guy that brought him to the game, gave him the game.
No. All that, but I'm saying, like, you know, I'm trying to look at it from a now perspective. Eazy-E's passed away, so he's an angel in heaven that walked that long mountain during the crossroads and went to heaven, and now he's looking at Bone, and he's thinking about everything they've done.
Well, I don't think he could be too upset because Bone Thugs-n-Harmony still in the game, 25 plus years. Not too many rap groups are still around. There's a handful. It's a handful. It's not even a few. I mean, there might be some old timers that are touring the world with a European tour, like Rob Bass probably still performs It Takes Two somewhere. But Bone Thugs-n-Harmony are still making new albums, still doing concerts in America all the time. So they're touring, dropping solos, dropping group albums, making music videos. They're not as relevant as they were in the 90s, but they're still in the game and still like topping the charts for SoundCloud with Lazy Bone against Amigos. So Bone is still relevant in the 2020s. Another thing is, if Eazy's looking back at their career and he says, man, I was alive for one of your albums and half of the Eternal album, but you guys as a conglomerate have dropped over 200 albums. Who could say that besides, like, maybe I can't even name anybody. They went, and if you're Eazy from a angelic perspective, judging their lives, he could say, that was really cool that you guys went back to help the homies out from Cleveland, did the Mo Thugs, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but even like the Mo Thug Soldiers, Mo Thug West, they tried to put it down for Cleveland, put it down for other regions. They were so selfless in trying to help others out and bring everybody to the game. So if I'm Eazy looking and judging on their philanthropy and what they've done for others, they looked out for everybody at the expense of themselves in many ways. The one that sacrificed himself the most was Crazy Bone, because he could have gone with a solo career and he stayed down for Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. Eazy wasn't around to see the Grammy because obviously it's a paradox. If Eazy-E doesn't die, we don't get the Crossroads. So he could appreciate the fact that they got a Grammy for a song about him. And later on, Crazy Bone got one for Riding Dirty with Chamillionaire. So it's like, hey, you didn't just have to kill me off to get the Grammy. You actually were able to do it with somebody else as well. They made their own movie. I tried. It's not the greatest movie, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you guys did a movie about an alternate version of what your lives could have been had you not got on with Ruthless Records. They tried out a reality TV show. Busy's got a reality TV show, and Busy has the proper intentions with his reality TV show. He's trying to show what a hip hop family looks like, how to be a father, how to be a family man, how to cook healthy. So there's so much positivity behind Busy's reality TV show. The intentions is divine. They and if you're Eazy-E, you got to say thanks, guys, for keeping my name relevant and bringing me to a not a martyr level, but a legend level. Because when Eazy was alive, he was the man, but he wasn't like now. He is royalty. Like he's not even royalty. He's like Mount Rushmore level with Tupac and Biggie, the most important people of rap history, Godfather of gangster rap and all that. But when Eazy was alive, you know, he was competing with everybody else and he wasn't as appreciated as he is now. And people still know the name Eazy-E in 2021. People are still checking out Eazy-E's songs. And I think a lot of that is due to Bone Thugs and Harmony always giving praise to Eazy-E. If he's looking back on it, he's going to say, damn, y'all guys changed the entire game of rap. The whole radio, even 20 years later, sounds like the Bone Thugs and Harmony style. So he's going to say, you guys changed the world. So props to you guys for doing that. You're still touring and you guys are still thuggish ruggish. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but you know, you guys kept it real. So that's cool. Now, if he's looking at all these guys individually, you know, like, so he tells them as a group, like, good job, guys. You guys get to come into heaven. But now I'm going to judge each of you individually, one-on-one. So he looks at Busy Bone and he says, hey, Busy, you know, I had a guy like you in my group. His name was Ice Cube. The difference is Ice Cube became the Don Mega, made a gazillion movies, a gazillion albums, is a household name. Everybody on planet Earth knows who Ice Cube is. If you're going to leave my record label and leave the group, we wanted you to become Michael Jackson. At a minimum, become Ice Cube. Now, you still have some years left in your life and you still may prove us wrong. And we want you to prove us wrong. We want you to become everything that you were destined to be. But you didn't. If you're leaving the group, you're leaving the guys, you better leave it for something bigger and better and make it grand. You've done great things, but you left the guys, you left the label, you left the family, La Familia, and you didn't Ice Cube it at a minimum. And you should have Michael Jackson did because you had the talent to do it. And then also to the group, he probably could have said, hey guys, why didn't you save my record label? You know, it's the label that brought you, it gave you everything you have and you didn't save it. And you guys claim that you learned all kinds of business knowledge from me, but how much have you really applied? You didn't utilize controversy. That's my whole thing, was to manufacture publicity from phony and sometimes real controversy. Why didn't you keep running when you had the Swizz Beatz deal? You had a second life there and you did a great album, but you didn't run with it. Why did you blow Unifive? Why did you blow New Waves? I sent you these from heaven to my guys. Lobel helped you. You blew it. Wish, after all these years, no solo album. All your buddies made solo albums. But you could have, like, maybe a Bone Brothers album at a minimum. You didn't even get that. It's okay, Wish. It's nice that you really are a true, humble, united gathering soul. And maybe you just felt like you didn't want to do that to the world. But I think the world wanted to hear from you. You got something in you, man. You're a special guy. I hope someday you find it in you to give the fans what they always wanted. Crazy Bone, it's nice that you stayed down for your homies. Thank you for doing that. But you should be the greatest rapper of all time. And the worldwide hip hop argument should be, who is the greatest rapper of all time, Crazy Bone or Busy Bone? Instead, they're doing the Locks versus Dipset. Are you kidding me? It should be Crazy Bone versus Busy Bone. And yet, the majority of hip hop doesn't know who either of you guys are. How did you not market yourself to be the biggest names? Because you have the talent, you have every single check in the box There's nobody that comes better than you. And yet here you guys are, you're waiting for never. Lazy Bone, you overachieved, buddy. You didn't do anything wrong in my book other than whatever the Mo Thugs think you did. But I'm sorry that the world doesn't appreciate your efforts because, man, you outdid what you are capable of doing. Props to you, buddy. Should have did a little bit better leadership, but still, you overachieved. Fleshbone, I'm sorry you had to do a prison sentence, but you bounced back. And out of all these guys, you seem to have the brightest future ahead of you. And I wish you much success to come. Thank you for holding it down for the guys, the big bro. And all together, thanks for keeping my memory alive. And for five true thugs from the streets of Cleveland, I think you guys overachieved what your lot in life was set out to be. So props to you guys. You all enjoy your time in heaven when your time comes. That's my piece.
Matt Weaver, Ouija, are you with me?
Well, if
tell
that
me what
was
Easy would think.
he's not here right now, but if okay, John's was fundamental beyond fundamental. I'm going super technical with mine. I think first and foremost, Eazy was a businessman before he was a gangster, and I think he used gangsterisms for his benefit. He leveraged what he knew to make money. And going off of that, they knocked it out of the park better than Eazy-E did. I think if we take Straight Outta Compton, if we take NWA, and it's my belief that he was modeling Bone Thugs after NWA as best he could, like this formula works. Obviously, he had a thing for groups, right? And if you're going off of that formula, it was a resounding success a million times over. I wonder, you guys might know how many albums they've sold versus how many albums NWA sold. That would be an interesting, it's not apples to apples because of the time frame and groups breaking up and Eazy passing away and things like that. But that would be an interesting thing to look at. But if you're going off of units sold, if you're going off of money, and maybe most importantly, sustainability, John pointed out in great detail that they are as perennial, still around, still moving, still going more than any other group, I would say, in the history of rap. Wu-Tang focuses on other things, not so much just actually rapping, right? Like I remember a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago when RZA put out a song, it was like a novelty, like because he isn't really known for that anymore. So to still be making music for this many years after, whether it's alone or together, I think that part's irrelevant. It's that they're still making music. So many groups, even if they did a performance or something, that doesn't mean that they've done an album in who knows how long. So for even some of them to be working together or being featured on the same songs together, I think says a lot about family first and staying money focused, even if not everything is lined up the way you want it to be. I can't really say anything negative. I mean, I guess it's a little this, little of that for, I think one of the main points I got from John's response was, would they still have the Grammy? They wouldn't still have the Grammy for Crossroads if it wasn't for remixing it in memory of Eazy-E. Who knows? Maybe Unique had that beat and maybe they would have rapped. Maybe they had the framework for the song already and it would have just been about a different topic. But that's really neither here nor there at this point. So he motivated them so much by his passing. Obviously, they had such a profound effect on him that I can't think of anything negative if I tried.
We got two prouds of Bone. Easy's proud of Bone. I think that it's gonna be long shot to see a comment in the comments below saying that Easy wouldn't be proud of Bone based on who they are. And you're not going to get that out of me either. You know, Bone is without question the most successful act to come off Ruthless Records, you know, even probably above NWA if you think about it. NWA broke barriers, they changed the game. They are legendary, and it birthed, you know, icons. Fucking cons. But the NWA window is small. In fact, if you compare the NWA window to most of their solo careers, it's like Dr. Dre's solo career trumps his NWA career. Same with Ice Cube. Maybe not Eazy-E, you know, because the time wasn't there to do it. But if Eazy wouldn't have died, you know, the time, you know, he even Eazy's career. So it's like Bone is still a group. And to answer your question, Matt, it's tough. The internet says that Bone's 50 million records worldwide. It says NWA is over 10 million units in the United States. So if they got another 40 million somewhere worldwide, the chances are Bone is beating NWA. Now, I don't know if that includes their solo records. If you include all of NWA's solo records, who knows? But it doesn't matter, right? It's like one of them's number one, one of them's number two. It's so probably debatable if it's NWA or if it's Bone. But past that, number three has to be a distant third over at Ruthless. So it's like, there's no way that if Eazy was able to analyze the careers of these guys, whether it was as individuals, because NWA went on to be individuals. And I'm sure when he looks at Ice Cube, when he looks at Dre, I'm sure that he's proud of these careers that made them icons and legends. You know, so it's like, it doesn't matter if he's looking at Bone as solo artist or Bone as a group. It's like, there's absolutely no way to not be proud of the work. Absolute legends. We are talking about legends, and that's not to knock other people that were over at Ruthless. You have some hip hop icons in there. You have a lot of hip hop history. Above the law, you know, I mean, you have some big names, but it's like Bone is something special. The thing that I will say that I think, and it plays in part on what John was saying. John had said, you know, hey, he may be like, you know, why didn't you save the label, right? And it's like, you know, the fans' response is going to be, well, because Tamika, like, they couldn't save the fucking label. Like, Tamika was in control, right? But I think that Eazy, being a business guy, loving Ruthless Records, and obviously loving Tamika, you know, he would have said, hey, where was the post-contract negotiation, which is something you guys have heard me talk about before, that, yeah, she held them to the wall with this bad record deal that they signed with Eazy. She held them to the wall the whole time and never changed it. Well, that's what it is. They signed a bad deal. She wasn't required, like, from a contract perspective, to renegotiate in the middle. It was the right thing to do, but there was no requirement. But once that was over, right? When a athlete signs a bad deal with a sports team, there's no requirement to change. Look at fucking Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen signed one of the worst, you know, deals that you could as an athlete. When it was over, though, I think that he would have looked at it and said, this was your time. You could have renegotiated with my wife, and you guys could have made a legacy. Instead, you split away. It tremendously hurt Bone Thugs and Harmony. I don't give a fuck what anybody wants to fight. The releases post Ruthless are not the same. It also hurt Ruthless. It hurt, you know, it was essentially the nail in the coffin. There was a couple of small blips on the heart monitor with like a guy like Hobson or a guy like Stevie Stone who ended up at Strange Music. But that was the end. So I think if you're Eric, you're not not happy with, you know, how it came out. I don't think he'd be displeased in that, because he also, like Matt said, is a businessman. And so he sees the business behind, you know, if Scotty could have got the fuck out of Chicago and got a better deal sooner, he probably would have. But I do think that he'd have some disappointment in, man, you guys should have worked this out. In the same token, he may also say, hey, you know, Busy was right. When I signed y'all, I thought you were going to be like all these other acts that I signed, you know, and he signed all these other acts and saw things that had little blips or failures or whatever. So when he found Bone, it's like there was nothing that set Bone apart from these other people he signed. He had to sign them to the standard, this is what it is deal. You know, so it's like he probably, knowing their star power, would have preferred work it out, work something out there. Besides that, where could the disappointment, you know, possibly come in? I will say when we're looking at them as solo artists, because he would have to look at his entire spectrum, meaning Eazy spectrum, he would have Ice Cube, he would have Dr. Dre, you know, to look at. And of course, you got a guy like Dr. Dre that helped spawn the career of a guy like Snoop Dogg. It's like there isn't a Snoop Dogg under any member of Bone. So it's like once you start to break that off, I do think that he would have, you know, questioned, hey, what happened here? What happened there? But again, that's not him being displeased. That would be the Eazy-E, you know, business guy asking questions. The thing that may make him the most proud is that his death was met with like a monument larger than any tombstone could possibly be. The Crossroads is the tribute of all tributes. I can't think of a tribute to an individual from a musical perspective bigger than the Crossroads. And not just the video or the song, which are both like beautiful, you know, from an audio and visual perspective, but of course the numbers that it broke, you know, in 95, when I saw that, because I didn't become a Bone fan until 95, when the babysitter kind of pushed the crossroads down my face. I don't even know if I was cognitive to who Eazy-E was at that point in my life. I was very young. So when I saw Eazy and they clipped that piece of Eazy out and put it in the Crossroads of him walking up the thing, like that may be, and I'm not saying this for sure, but that may be my first Eazy-E thought. The only other thing that I can think of that may not be true, because I remember seeing Dre Day, and I remember seeing what was the Eazy-E song, John?
Yeah, and Real Compton City G's.
Yeah,
and it's on Dre.
Yeah, so I guess I do remember seeing those, you know, but still that Bone Thugs and Harmony, you know, song may have opened up the world of Eazy-E to a bunch of new, you know, young people, because I was very young at that point as well. So if that wasn't my first, that was still a very early Eazy-E thing. If you're a guy like John and you follow NWA and all that, then this was like, you know, the ending of it. But that may have very well opened it up. Not to mention that the song, regardless of if it's today, if it's, you know, 20 years ago, whatever it is, Eazy-E's a constant all the time. You know, Tupac's a constant all the time. Big E's a constant all the time. Now, I think that a guy like Big Pun is highly revered in hip hop, but I don't know if it's in the same way as Tupac. I don't know if it's in the same way as Biggie, but I think that when you're talking about legends that passed away, that Eazy-E ends up in the Biggie Tupac column and not necessarily in that Big Pun column, you know, of passed away, you know, MCs that are revered in hip hop. And no matter what anybody says, the Biggie Pac column is different than like the Big Pun, Big L column. And I think that Eazy did a lot of it himself, but the Crossroads and its effect on hip hop had a lot to do with making sure that Eazy-E ended up in the same column as Pac and Big. They had a lot to do with keeping his memory alive, especially when a company like, think about this, Ruthless Records is essentially folded. There's nothing there. Bone has done a much bigger and better job keeping Eazy-E alive than Tamika or Ruthless Records. So it's like you could have seen some fade out on the Eazy-E memory where he just becomes a footnote in people's minds 30 years later. But instead, you've had the crossroads. So how could the guy not be proud of them, not be grateful for all that they've done? Not to mention, even though it's this show, and on this show we can nitpick and pick apart the things that they've done, the fact that these guys are relevant after this much time, and you look at the other acts, groups, solo acts, DJs, whatever it is from, that came out in 1994, we'll take 1994, how many of them are still relevant today? And I know that Bone's music sometimes gets picked apart a lot by us, but you know what doesn't? Look at their shows. Look at a Bone Thugs and Harmony show in 2021, post-COVID, even pre-COVID. We're talking packed, bro. They're doing fucking stadium shows still. So it's like we could say whatever we want about the music that comes out, but these motherfuckers still pack stadiums, bro. How can you not be proud of that? You got to be proud of that. I think that the only thing that may be a little not even just displeased, just a little questionable on Eazy's part was, how come we couldn't make it work with the wife? That's it.
Yeah, well, as far as Ruthless goes, do they make money from the movie Straight Outta Compton?
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure they're still collecting royalties for their catalog, because don't forget NWA.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not taking anything away, from that, but it's like, look at the amount of time, like Tamika collecting royalties has nothing to do with keeping the memory alive. So up until Straight Outta Compton, like, and I think Ruthless put out one Eazy-E post.
Well, they did just Straight Off the Streets of Compton, but they also had Eternal E, and then they had like 3 different variations of the NWA legacy. And don't forget, if the contract was still there for 25% of Dr. Dre's earnings, yeah, I don't know if that moves over to Aftermath, but whatever the Death Row collections were, those are still going to Ruthless as well. So Eazy could kind of look back on Ruthless and be like, hey man, you guys had more money than you had when I was alive. How come you guys folded? How come you should have became the Empire?
Oh, 100%. And I'm speaking just from a memory alive, not money. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, like Ruthless should be rich as fuck off everything that you just said. But I didn't feel like there's proper tribute from Ruthless and Tamika the way that the Crossroads, and more importantly, not just that song, but look at the way that Bone has carried that song. And some may argue, well, of course they carry that song like that for 20 something years, like it's their biggest hit. But I think whether the Crossroads was a monumental smash or if it was just a semi hit, because of what it represents, you would see Bone carry and perform that song in the capacity they do. Regardless, because paying tribute to Eazy-E is, I still feel like that's the number one thing that they do. Think about the most consistent thing that Bone does for 20 something years, it's give praise to Eazy-E in every aspect, all the time, no matter what.
Was little Eazy-E on Ruthless, or was Dizzy Wright on any of the Eazy-E children? Were they any of them on Ruthless Records?
Lil Eazy maybe went to do something. Did you say Dizzy Wright was one of fucking Eazy-E's kids?
He's not.
No.
Whose kid is he?
No, I mean,
am I thinking of the right people? Doesn't he have like just? He's got like 3 kids that are rappers, and then like 2 girls that are rappers. Like 3 boys are rappers, 2 girls.
Yeah, well, Eazy's got Lil Eazy. He's got I think Baby E, which I think goes by E3. And then there's what's the third one? There's Lil Eazy. I know the I know the daughter goes by something too. I can't remember all their names. They're all like Lil Easy, Baby Easy, something else.
So and also I
But
don't.
Dizzy Wright isn't one. No.
Oh man, all this time I maybe I got the name wrong, but I thought there was more than just Little Easy. I thought Little Eazy-E was competing against like some other brother, and that they
Yeah,
didn't
there
really
is
click.
another one. Well, like I said, there's Baby Easy or Baby E or some shit, which he goes by E3. So I know there's E3, and then there is another one. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head.
And here's a quick: do you know roughly the time BG Knockout went to prison? Because besides Eazy-E dying, I think if BG Knockout was around to continue to scout new talent, I think that might have been able to keep Ruthless going. But for him to be away, because Easy shared a lot of game with him, and that could have you got to keep bringing in new talent.
1998.
98, that's when BG went out. Okay, so think about it. Bone was successful and Ruthless was successful till a little bit after the Art of War. BG's out of the picture, and now suddenly you don't have that new crop of youth to keep bringing in, which may actually have helped out Bone's longevity in that they wouldn't get replaced. In the form of the Sith, there's always like a new Sith Lord to take out the previous master, and hip hop is a young man's game, so the next guy might have came up to take Bone's spot, but I don't know. But I think BG Knockout isn't talked about. The demise of Ruthless is that had he still been around, maybe they had another 10 years of success.
With the exception of Straight Outta Compton, that took forever to make happen.
The movie or the album?
Yeah, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you think of a tribute to Eazy-E bigger than the Crossroads that has served longevity and been continuously pushed to keep his name alive?
For Eazy-E?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bone, every concert Bone does, they shout out Eazy, and
right. Not just concerts, interviews, other songs, every like there's nothing. Because I know somebody in the comments is going to be like, well, what about Straight Outta Compton? Straight Outta Compton was awesome, and it was great for Eazy and the NWA legacy, but it took, till just a couple of years ago to fucking happen. Okay. Whereas Bone has like held it down since for Eazy from that moment forward, and more than just the Crossroads, but specifically the Crossroads.
All right, I'll tell you one, and it's before your time, but you should check it out. When Eazy-E died, that was a big deal for me. I was pretty sad about it. And Straight Off the Streets of Compton came out, and the lead single off it was Just to Let You Know. And Eazy-E's not in the video, but like everybody that was down with him was in it. And it's a real sad video, and they tried to do it the way E would have wanted it. And it may not stand the test of time for sentiment value, but when that came out, I know everybody that liked Eazy, when you saw that video, you're just like, damn, man, that song is beautiful, and it's like Eazy right into the sunset. And that was Just to Let You Know was impactful. And then Yella did something for him on the album, and also there's a track called Eternal E that Yella made, and like, so all those were nice, but they weren't at that magnitude.
I'm not saying that nobody paid tribute to the guy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, the Just to Let You Know video didn't keep Eazy-E's name alive in the minds of hip hop when it's 2000 and fucking 9.
It was right? Different though.
If it's 2009, what thing would a hip hop fan connect Eazy-E to, especially if they were newer?
Okay, but I know what you're saying, but like prior to Eazy-E, the only other death I could think of was Scott LaRock, and BDP or KRS-One kept Scott LaRock's name alive, and Kato died, and Tupac kept Kato's name alive. But like Eazy-E dying was a big deal. Like they did stop time for that. It didn't get to the level that Tupac's death got to, but Eazy-E's death was on the front cover of Vibe magazine. The AIDS aspect of it was like a repeat of Magic Johnson, but Magic didn't die and Eazy did die. So it created like this crazy awareness, plus how DJ Vlad in a way kind of keeps Eazy-E's name alive by constantly talking about how Eazy had a lot of unprotected sex and how that could have led to getting AIDS. So he, Vlad uses it as like a public service announcement. But to your point, yes, no, nothing touches cross. Well, you know what? I think, and it doesn't last, but "I'll Be Missing You" by Puff Daddy for Biggie had a big impact short term, but the Crossroads still is like, it still hits and it's deeper than, and it has more longevity than "I'll Be Missing You." "I'll Be Missing You" though was pretty big.
Yeah, but that was for Biggie. I'm saying who did for Eazy-E the way Bone has. And until the NWA movie came out, it's nothing. Everything that you just mentioned was in the moment, and it's beautiful, and I'm glad they did it. But nothing has the longevity of the Crossroads. And then even if you take the Crossroads out of it, Bone Thugs and Harmony, 365 days a fucking year is gonna preach Eazy-E.
Yeah,
For forever, for everything till their final moment. And that's all I'm saying is like Bone has put on for a guy for 20 times the amount of time that he put on for them. Because of what he did for them in that short amount of time, they have kept his name alive in hip hop. And not that I think that Eazy would have just faded away, but I don't think that Eazy would be as talked about as he should be if it wasn't for Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like they needed, meaning Ruthless needed that mega superstar group besides NWA, and it's Bone. Like I said, whoever's third over on fucking Ruthless is a distant third compared to NWA and Bone.
well, Supersonic still brings in the checks with JJ Fad, and yeah, I mean,
Distant
I know
third,
just,
dog.
yeah.
Go ask some kid in 2009 what the fuck Supersonic is and see what they say. And then ask if they know what Bone Thugs or NWA is. Like, come on, get fucking real. JJ Fad, get fucking real, bro. JJ Fad is fucking older, old head shit. That's like John shit right there. I don't give a fuck about fucking JJ Fad, and I'm a few years younger than you.
Well, also some of the, I guess the World Wrecking Crew wasn't part of Ruthless, but that NWA and the Posse, and that also wasn't on Ruthless, but that contains some of that Dre era of Wrecking Crew, and that music never dies. All that, it's not 80s freestyle, but it's like dance music. I think aspects of that stays around because, like, for instance, the Knight Rider Express, right? That's not the Wrecking Crew, but that song. I mean, not by Knight Riders, but when Knight Riders remade it, you're like, oh, I used to skate to this. You know what I'm saying? So the Wrecking Crew music, but nobody knows it's Dre. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's Bone Thugs, NWA, and then everybody else.
No, it's facts. It's facts. But I will say the fact here is that we all agree Eazy-E would be very, very proud of Bone Thugs and Harmony. I think that, you're hard pressed to find anybody, maybe some Mo Thugs that aren't proud of Bone Thug, and even a lot of them, even if they don't say it out loud, probably are. When we talked to 101, look at how proud he was. Like, he had his issues, but he was still super proud. Like, it's very hard to find a human being that knows about these guys, their circumstances, where they come from. And how the fuck can you not be proud? It is like what you said in yours. It's like you took 5 guys from one of the shittiest places that you can in terms of, like, having opportunity, coming out of Cleveland. And look at, bro, we are talking about mega superstars.
And not only that,
Superstars.
Everybody we've talked to, and even people we haven't talked to, even if Bone in a way might have done something to disappoint them, they all still love Bone. Like, nobody hates Bone. I don't know anybody that hates him. Even the people that have grudges against them, they simultaneously love them. So it's the good has outweighed the bad. And I guess if Eazy-E's the judge, if Eazy-E's the God person, Bone's life, body of work, not just their music, but their deeds seems to have, like, by far outweighed their negatives. So with all the good and all the bad, the good is greater than the bad. And that's the name of Hell's Good Guy.
Nice segue, John. John stole my thunder. I was going to say, speaking of the good and the bad, this week's question of the week was sponsored by Hell's Good Guy. I want to remind you guys that the links to purchase the book at Amazon.com and at Amazon.co.uk, and all the other outlets are in the description of this video below.
Finally, what follows is a small snippet from chapter 1 of the book, Hell's Good Guy. Alexander, we are about to begin your afterlife trial. The discussion we will have will allow me to determine whether you go into heaven, into hell, back to earth via reincarnation, or are put to perpetual sleep. In the best interest of this process, we may all have one-to-one private conversations in the acoustically manipulated consultation zone.
Just want to remind you guys, that's just a small snippet from Hell's Good Guy. It comes out this month, so make sure you guys hit the description and hit all those links and get yourself a copy of Hell's Good Guy. This was the question of the week, and on behalf of Hell's Good Guy and Beyond the Harm,